I mean, all this sounds very intensive and some people might be overwhelmed by it. And this is our last point, which is outsourcing, which to me, I think is the concept of how, the world is getting flat. You do business with people in India, you do business with all around because of the technology we have. And since we are entrepreneurs and we lead our business, we don't want to be bogged down by things that we need that are necessary for our business, but also we want to make sure that these things get done. But our main goal is to deal with buyers and sellers, because that's what drives our business in terms of the funds, buying houses and selling houses. But in order to participate in the web and Web 2.0 and all that, you still need to get all these things done. And that's what brings us to the last point, which is outsourcing. And I want you to give our listeners your take on outsourcing and how we can apply outsourcing to all we've talked about so far.
Yeah, outsourcing is extremely important in your business, because if you want your business to grow, you need to outsource, because you cannot do everything. It's impossible. We all have 24 hours in our day, and we all have so many things going on that if you don't outsource, you're going to be stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're not going to be able to grow. And one of the biggest questions that I get all the time from people is, when should I outsource? When is a good time for me to outsource? Well, my answer to that is a good time for you to outsource is you need to calculate how much you work per hour. So if you want to make $100,000 a year, and you want to, let's look at it from a, employment point of view. You work 40 hours a week, 52 weeks, not 50, well, let's say 50 weeks a year, and you want to make, $100,000, you can figure out how much you work an hour. So in your own business, figure out how much you work per hour, and then let's say you are worth $50 an hour because you want to make, a lot of money. So you work $50 an hour. And you figure that you need to have some graphics done for your website.
Yes.
And you go out on the internet and you find graphic designers that will, let's say, for instance, you can do header graphics and a whole little mini site packages for about under $100. So you think about it, you're worth $50 an hour, and somebody will do that to you for $100. Do you think you'll be able to do your entire package for in the span of 2 hours? No, because there's a learning curve, and you probably, if you're not good at graphics, you're not going to do them very well. So that's a good thing to outsource, because it will take you a lot longer to do those graphics. You'll end up probably spending about 4 or 5 hours, which comes to be about $250 now, as opposed to $100, whereas you can outsource it. So that's one thing you need to figure out. We need to outsource, and anything that is not worth your time, you need to outsource that, because there are so many other things that you can do, like do deals and flip houses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what you can outsource, the possibilities, especially with the internet, there's just so many things you can outsource. Article writing for your market, you can outsource website creation, your blog, creation, your blog design. You can outsource blog posts if you want to do that. Personally, I write my own posts because I want to, build a relationship with my readers. You can outsource programming if you want to do some kind of a software. You can split installations on your website, software design. Even if you remember how we were talking about duplicate content, one way to avoid it is to rewrite your articles. You can outsource that as well. You can outsource ebooks if you want to create an ebook, graphics, virtual assistants, support for people when they're contacting you, answering emails, phone calls, search engine optimization, pay-per-click, Google AdWords. There are companies that do that as well. So there's a lot of things you can outsource. Some of the sites that you can use for outsource, elance.com, you spell that ELANCE.com. That's a very good website for content creation. Guru.com is another great one. And one other one I can share with you is rentcoder.com. They are very good for creating scripts and, more of a technical side, when it comes to doing scripts for websites. If you want the website to do something, like, maybe the forms on your website. If you want to customize them or whatever, they'll do that for you. When you are looking at outsourcing stuff, you want to be very detailed in your project description. You want to ask the bidders that are going to bid on your project for samples, see their portfolio, see what they've done before. Sometimes you might even ask them to give you a references, so maybe you can even contact their past clients and see what they say about them. You want to make sure they have a good turnaround. There are a lot of these websites also have those, ratings out there, and they give you their, the reputation of what that, designer or their freelancer has. So, I've done outsourcing before, and, sometimes it didn't work out so well, and sometimes it, works well. In my earlier days, I've outsourced, I don't even remember what I did, but I've outsourced it, and one thing that you never want to do, you never want to pay up front.
Yeah.
Because in that particular instance, if I paid that designer up front, I would have lost the money, because he said he started working on the project and everything's going great. I'm communicating with the guy, what you want to do, and we're talking back and forth. He's asking questions. I'm answering the questions from a project, and all of a sudden the guy just couldn't find him. No contact. All of a sudden he gets lost.
He disappears.
I was like, well, what happened here,
Yes.
So then I had to go look for somebody else. So those are, some of the tips that you can use for outsourcing. Obviously, you always want to be careful. Never give money up front. Don't give all your personal information, to them. Some of these websites have escrow accounts where you can go and take the money and put it into the escrow that is separate from you and the designer. And that money only leaves the escrow account once the project's been completed and you guys are happy. So you can utilize that. But, there is a lot of great information that you can outsource, and a lot of stuff that you can outsource on the Internet. Support that.